Oh my God, ZD, no. That was the dog, not you.
Good morning. Welcome to Fresh Fit Fall from Maryland Snap Ed. I'm Krista. I'm your host. And this is a series that we are doing each week to highlight fresh, wonderful produce that's coming in from Maryland farms through the end of the season. There's still plenty of growing season left. This is the harvest. It's a wonderful time of year to eat local. But we're also then talking about ways to be active during the fall. It's also a beautiful time of year to be active, but sometimes can be a little harder to stay active as the days get shorter and cooler. So welcome everyone who's joining us for the first time or a repeat viewer. Thanks for joining us, Peter. Nice to have you with us. If you are joining us, we love if you can introduce yourself with your county if you're in Maryland, or your city and state. If you're from outside of Maryland, or if, like Peter, you're joining from another country, you can let us know that as well. Post your comments and questions throughout, and we will answer them as we are able. So today we are joined by Lynn Mateva, who is our SNAP Ed educator and project leader in Wacomico County, Maryland, on the Eastern Shore. And welcome to Fresh Fit Fall, Lynn. And let's start out talking about what's fresh this fall.
Apples. Apples are fresh and delicious right now in Maryland.
Wonderful. So this is like an iconic fall fruit. Who doesn't love a delicious apple? And they are particularly delicious in the fall. You can get them year round, but they're at their best in the fall. So let's talk about why that is, and then talk a little bit about varieties.
Well, right now they are coming right off the trees, and so they are just so much more delicious. They're so much more fresh. They haven't been in cold storage for a long time, and they really are just so tasty. For example, I picked up a Red Delicious yesterday. I've never had a fresh Red Delicious. It tasted like a whole different apple than anything I'd ever had before called a Red Delicious.
I've had that experience too. So a lot of times the apples that we're getting in the grocery store, while it's wonderful we can get them year round, those are a lot of times varieties that store really well. And that's why they're available in the grocery store. So they're harvested in the fall, but then they're put in storage until, so they can be sold throughout the year. But there's not many varieties that last that well, but they also change quality as they're stored. So Red Delicious is one that's, a familiar grocery store apple, but if you can get a fresh in season one. What are some other varieties that you like?
So I picked up a few yesterday. I picked up one called a Mutsu that is one of my favorites. And it's just a very kind of crisp, a little bit, I don't know, I want to say peppery apple, but there's something really kind of crisp and almost like spicy about it, but not really. But just the best way I can find to describe it. I got some Fuji's. I got some Jonah Golds. That's what this one is. I love that they have the little leaf on here still, fresh off the tree. And I got something called I can't even read my own hand right now. I think it was something like a shokuki or something. It's something like never heard of before, but it was a new variety this year. And my absolute favorite that I wait for is called Wine Sap, and it's not here yet, and it's always the last one to arrive. And then as soon as it's here, it's all bought up. So I kind of keep my eye out and stake the farm market until I can find those.
Wonderful. Yeah. So I love Honeycrisp. Those are ones that do store well, and you can get those in the grocery store year round. Lynn shares that she likes Evercrisp. That's a great one. There's one at the farmer's market I go to. They have one that they call Apple X. It's one that I think a variety that maybe it was a cross or something that they created, and you can only get it from their farm. So that's one of the really interesting things. And we talked yesterday about how fun it is to do a tasting of for different varieties of apples, and that's something that we do in Stetton.
Yeah, you put them side by side, and you really notice different flavor profiles, different levels of crispiness, different aromas. They all smell different if you just smell three of them side by side. It's really cool.
Yeah, so if you have a favorite variety, some already have shared, but put them in the comments. Christine offered that Shizuka is the variety you were talking about that
Thank
she
you.
really loves. One tip that I have is that I always go to the farmer's market and I just load up a bag with a bunch of different varieties, and then I get home and I don't know what's what. So I might try one that's delicious and not know which one it is. So if you're able, maybe bring some different brown paper bags that you can label with them so that you can retrace your steps if you want to repeat buy a variety. So you talked about, so there's different varieties of apples, but some are good for different things. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so some apples are really great for making, say, like baked things that you want them to hold up sturdiness. And then some apples, like Golden Delicious, for example, is one that I feel like whenever I try to cook with it, it might be okay for applesauce, but for everything else, it just loses all shape and it gets kind of mushy. I also don't like those to eat even after a certain point in the season. Like they're really good in the beginning, and then they just start to kind of get a little bit more mealy, a little bit softer as time goes by. Things like Granny Smith is a classic baking apple, but there's the one that I use today, or that we're going to use today, is called Jonah Gold, and that one has a great, it holds up great when you're cooking with it, and it's kind of tart, kind of sweet, which is a nice combination as well when you're going to be cooking with them. And honestly, any of these local ones fresh are really tasty because they just they are so crisp and delicious. But there are different things that you can do with all the different varieties. So luckily, a lot of the farm stands I've seen have little flip charts that will tell you what the apples are good for. So that's something to look for while you're shopping for your apples.
That's great. And I would say too, just because something is sort of labeled as a baking apple or a cooking apple doesn't mean you just can't eat it out of hand. It just might mean it has a firmer texture, or maybe more tart. But I'm somebody who I prefer something that it has a little bit of a tart flavor, and I really like a hard or crispy texture. So don't shy away from just eating those out of hand as well. So great. Any tips on selecting apples when you're buying them at the market?
Honestly, I just look for apples that don't have a lot of, we don't want them to be all bruised. I want the skin to be tight, not wrinkles, things like that. If they've got some, places where they've broken open, I'm going to pass them by. So I just really look for a nice, firm, smooth apple. And you can tell the skin's not wrinkled at all. It's still fresh.
Great. And then apples are really best stored in the fridge. I keep mine in a plastic bag. When you get them that they're a little shriveled, kind of look like their skin's getting a little saggy, that is because they've lost moisture. So they're not, it's like a balloon that started to shrink a little bit. So I do keep mine in the, if I want them to keep for a long time, in the fridge in a plastic bag. But if you want to keep them on the counter and your family's going to grab them daily, that's a great place to keep them, at least for the short term, because when they're in front of you, you're more likely to eat them.
Absolutely.
Great. So let's talk about, we're going to do what we affectionately call a series of snacktivities with apples here today. So these are fun snacks that are not just fun to eat, but fun to prepare and great to do with kids. So what are we going to be working on today?
Okay, so I've got three things today. The first thing we're going to work on is a microwave baked apple. And this is a very fun thing to do. This is probably the most difficult of all of our recipes that we're going to do today. That's what's great about this. These are all pretty easy recipes, and things that older children could definitely do for the most part themselves. Younger children could do some of these things with a little help. And all I'm doing is peeling and coring this apple here. And I'm even okay. I
was just going to say this recipe has a warm spot in my heart because my mom, this was one of those things that my mom was taught us how to make. So it was something we could make on our own without any help.
that's something I was discussing this with my my teenage daughter yesterday, and she was even adding tips for things that could be done to this. So it makes me excited to know that she'll be trying this later. And I don't have a great apple core here. I've got this sort of rounded out thing, and I'm just pushing it out. You could even do it with a thin paring knife or something. And then all I've really done, I didn't even bother to get all the skin off. I don't mind the skin. But I'm putting it in this little microwave safe dish. I've got about a tablespoon of golden raisins here. You could use regular raisins. You could use craisins even, or the, what do you call them? The cranberry, the dried cranberries. And then I'm putting about a tablespoon of brown sugar in there and a teaspoon of butter. And the recipe on the SnapEd website does not call for cinnamon, but I like just a little teeny bit of cinnamon. I still like to taste the apple, but I like a little bit of cinnamon. And then all we have to do for this is cover this with something that's microwave safe. I've got a piece of parchment here, and put it in the microwave for about 4 to 5 minutes.
And if you have any ideas of things you would add to this, oats comes to mind for me. It might be, they kind of they'd absorb the juices and get sort of chewy and tender in there. I think that would be good. And I love that you point out that you could leave it unpeeled. That would make it a lot easier. The skin does feel a little tough next to the soft flesh of the apples if you peel them. So it's just a personal preference thing. Right. So great. So
yeah.
Like that.
And the next, and so yeah, that's something really easy, and we'll have that ready for you shortly. The next thing I'm going to show you is something that is also super easy. And again, this is something that I would think children as young as 3 years old could do with a little help. We're making something called apple bark, and you could wedge the apples and do it in quarters and do this, or you could cut slices. I also just sliced them into circles, and then I used a little circle punch cutter just to take the core out of them, because I thought that might be a little more surface area for us to decorate. And all we're going to do is smear some, I've got peanut butter here. You could use sunflower seed butter. You could use soy nut butter, or even a cream cheese, I would think. If you had like a flavored cream cheese would work here. Maybe one of those pumpkin ones or something. And then
apples and peanut butter are a classic combination.
They sure are. And then all I'm going to do is just decorate them with, some colorful stuff to put on top. You could use dried cranberries. You could use some of those golden raisins. I even grabbed some pumpkin seeds because they throw a little green on there, and it's just fun. And that's pretty much all you have to do for making some apple bark. Certainly a pretty snack, and it's something that could be done, like I said, quickly and by children of all ages, even kids our age.
And getting them involved is going to make it more appealing to them. Creative.
Sure.
I might put sunflower seeds on that. A little sprinkle of granola would be good. Beautiful.
And then this last activity that we have is something that's just a little fun, and I'll get it started, and then you probably won't get to see the finished product till the end. But this is, they're called apple jack-o'-lanterns, and this is a really fun activity to do with kids of all ages. A lot of times I will just cut the apple in half, and then you've kind of got this surface where it can lay down, and then you could decorate this as if you were decorating a jack-o'-lantern, and you could do it really easily for, say, younger children by just putting little globs of this and that on there. I've got a variety of things here. So I've got some whole grain colorful cereal. We could do something like that and make kind of like wild, crazy eyes. I've also got, again, I've got the cranberries and things like that. I've got shredded carrots, so you could do all kinds of fun things with that. But then something else that I found that is really fun and a great way to get kids to try something a little bit different are these rainbow carrots. And when you cut open the purple carrots, they're orange inside. So I've got one here that actually I told you I was going to reveal later, but we've got more to show you. One that I made earlier today with these green. I can get it on
Oh,
camera.
that's amazing. Oh, it reminds me of Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah. So I just thought it was cool. Pumpkin seeds. And so what I did when I made this one, because if you have kids that are a little bit older, you could take like a melon baller and scoop out, you know, sections for eyes. You've got things, if you've got something like this is a really inexpensive fruit carving tool that I got from like a dollar type store years and years and years ago. So it's just something that has kind of like serrated edges and this triangle point here. So you could do all kinds of things to actually carve it and then, you know, stick your fruit and vegetables and things like that in there, or you could get you know, a little bit more creative and do a little more three-dimensional stuff, or you could just glue things on with your nut butter or your cream cheese.
I love it. It is so much fun, and you can get so creative. Wonderful. So we're going to let you tinker away at that with your creativity while we transition to our Fresh Fit tip for the week. So let's take a look at that. So our tip for the week is to take advantage of Maryland's beautiful state parks. So, you know, Maryland has state parks throughout the state of Maryland, and these are wonderful resources to be outdoors and be active. And the state parks are really doing a lot to try to provide sort of structured and unstructured activities that attract families to the park and help them explore the parks and be active while they're there. So we are actually going to look as an example of that at a video that State Parks created from a ranger in one of our state parks that is actually showing how to use one of their physical activity trails. So it's actually a facility that's developed to help encourage you to be active while you're in the park. So let's take a look at that video, and then I'm going to share a few more resources that can help you explore Maryland state parks. All right, we're not getting sound. We'll work on that. All right, we'll give that another try in a minute. While we are trying to sort that out, I did want to share some information about Maryland state parks. So I'm going to post a link in case you just haven't really explored the state parks in your area. We're going to post a link to the list of every state park in Maryland and the entry fees for those parks. So some of those parks have a small entry fee, $2 to $3 usually per person, but if your kids are in safety seats, so a car seat or a booster, they are free, or if you walk or bike in, they're free as well. And some are free to the public. So that's one thing that might get you started in seeing which state parks are out there. Another thing that I think our folks should be aware of is the Junior Rangers program. So, so Junior Rangers provides activities for young people to do in parks that help them explore nature. But some of the activities that are all posted online, you can do at home or in any outdoor space. So we will post a link to that as well in the chat that you can use either at home or in a Maryland state park. And then one of those things that is available is the scavenger hunt that you can use in a park. So if you're heading out to a park with your family, try using the bringing along a scavenger hunt, and it kind of directs your kids to look for things while they're out there in nature. And then the last thing I wanted to mention was Park Quest. So each year, Maryland State Parks puts together a series of sort of challenges in parks throughout the state of Maryland that you can complete throughout the summer up till October 31st. And so that kind of gives you a goal that if you can do 12 of them by October 31st, they give out prizes. So if you haven't really taken advantage of state parks, please look for one near you, find out if there's a fee to attend, and then use these resources to take your family there, enjoy the beautiful fall, and be active in the park. So we're going to try again with that video showing a park ranger using a facility in the state park to be active while in the park.
Hello, I'm Ranger Sierra, and we're here at Martinac State Park, located in historic Denton, Maryland. Thank you for joining me on a Maryland Park Service virtual ranger experience. Here we are on Martinac State Park's fitness trail. Along with a paved path to walk or run on, the trail includes different exercises to get every muscle moving. To make these exercises even more fun, they all are mimicking animal behaviors of native Maryland wildlife. A lot of these exercises you can even do from home. Let's get started. Hummingbirds can flap their wings over 50 times per second. That's 1,500 wing beats in 30 seconds. How many times can you flap your wings in 30 seconds? Most bees hibernate during the winter months. However, honeybees remain active all winter long. They will unhinge their wings and vibrate their flight muscles in order to generate heat for the hive. Let's get your flight muscles warmed up by doing shoulder rolls forward and backwards. Raccoons are highly intelligent animals with dexterity in their paws similar to human hands. It is not uncommon to see raccoons standing solely on their hind legs in order to reach for food with their paws. Like a stretching raccoon, raise your arms and your heels as high as you can to do some raccoon calf raises. A male wild turkey is called a tom. To impress the hens, the toms will puff up, spread their tail feathers, gobble, and strut about. Like a turkey, shake your feathers. That was a great warm-up. Can you think of other animal behaviors to mimic and turn into an exercise at home? Thank you for joining myself, the Maryland Department of Natural Resources, Maryland Park Service at Martinac State Park. I invite you to check back for more virtual ranger experiences.
All right, so that just gives you an idea of one sort of way that's built into a particular state park to be active, but of course you can hike, you can play, you can explore. So, our state parks are here for everyone. So I hope you use the links that we shared to find a state park that you can visit. It's been a gorgeous fall so far, so find one that you can visit near you. Great, so let's check in with Lynn and see how she is doing with her apple jack-o'-lantern experiment.
Okay, well, I'm having way too much fun over here. Oh, I've knocked one over. So you can see I've made a row of all kinds of apple jack-o'-lanterns here. And then I just couldn't help myself because our Maryland, official kind of animal or crustacean of Maryland is the crab. I made a crab out of an apple.
That is fantastic. I just can't believe those apples are just amazing. Now, the important part is unlike a jack-o'-lantern, after you display it, you want to make sure you eat these because they are not only fun to make and fun to look at, but they are also delicious apples that we want to make sure, and those carrots as well. As always, I am impressed by your creativity, Lynn, and I hope folks will try this. If you do, please comment on our Facebook page and let us know you tried it or share pictures. So we thank you so much, Lynn, for your creativity. We are going to start looking forward now to next week. So let's look at what's going on in Fresh Fit Fall next week. We've got radishes. I'm excited for this one because I like radishes, but I understand they are a challenge for some people who are not, familiar with them or haven't cooked them. So we're going to try them cooked as well as raw. And so we have some great recipes for that. We also are going to be joined by the Y of Central Maryland to talk about some of their outreach programs to help make physical activity accessible for folks across the state. On October 28th, of course, we're going to be talking about pumpkins as the special holiday of October arrives. So we'll be talking about cooking with pumpkins. We are going to be joined that day, sort of as we wrap up the month of Walktober. We're going to be joined by a guest who has a really creative walking program going on at a Judy Center in Maryland. So that's a young early childhood education center. And then on November 4th, we'll be talking about that mysterious, wonderful vegetable cabbage. So if you are watching us on Facebook, you know where to find us. Make sure you like our page and turn on notifications so you see our live broadcasts. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. Here are all the websites that where you can find us on the web. So there's Facebook, YouTube. We also have a new Instagram feed. So follow us there. And then at the top is our Eat Smart webpage. This is where you can find all the recipes that we feature here on Fresh Fit Fall, including that apple jack-o'-lantern, the apple bark, and the microwave baked apples. So explore that, put in, enter into the search field a fall ingredient that you've gotten from the farmer's market, and make sure that you're finding wonderful recipes to make sure that you're taking advantage of beautiful fall produce. And just, whatever you're eating right now, make sure you're joining us each Thursday at 11 a.m. for Fresh Fit Fall. Tune in on Facebook or YouTube, and please share your questions and comments. So thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.